Hey students, this video is to help you work through some chart problems. I'm going to work through the first chart problem with you so that you can determine the number of protons, neutrons, electrons, mass number, and charge, and all sorts of crazy things, and write the full nuclide symbol. And then you're responsible for doing the other three. So this is actually the document that you have right attached to this video. So we're going to need a periodic table in order to do this problem. Now, excuse me. So in this first column, you're going to need to come up with the full symbol and the number of neutrons in the charge based on the number of protons, electrons, and mass number. Now, to do this, I think the thing to do is to start by determining what element it is. So I'm going to look at the periodic table, and remember, this tells us how many protons there are, and the number of protons is the element. So element number 20 here is calcium, so that's good. So I'm going to take a moment to do that. So I'm going to put calcium there. Now, the number of protons goes down in that corner. So the full symbol, or what we would write as the nuclide symbol, Ca20 in the corner. Okay. Now, the number of neutrons. Now, we do not need the periodic table anymore for this once we have the number of protons in the element. Okay. So, the number of neutrons here we determine because we take the mass number. Remember that the mass number is the number of protons plus the number of neutrons. And so that means that there must be 21 neutrons, because 20 plus 21 equals 41. And the mass number, remember, goes up in this corner. Now, in order to determine the charge, we're going to look at the number of electrons. Now, in order to determine the charge, we're going to go and we're going to say, oh, there are 20 protons, 20 positive charges. There's 21 negative charges. So which one is greater? The negatives are greater. And so that means that, and how many more are there? There's one more, so that's 1 minus. So the full symbol is going to look like that. And that's a skill. You're going to see that. So we would call this the calcium 20 ion. Okay. Sorry, not the calcium 20, calcium 41 ion. Okay. So now, same thing. Okay. Now here we're given the number of protons, neutrons, and the charge. We should be able to figure out this. Okay. So let's again go to the periodic table. Element number 8 is oxygen. Okay. So we will go and we will write an oxygen here. Now, we are going to now put an 8 here because that's the atomic number. And now we're going to try to determine the mass number. The mass number, 8 plus 9, is 17. So we're going to put a 17 in here. Okay. A common mistake, do not do this, but a common mistake is using the value on the periodic table. That is a different value. That is the atomic mass, not the mass number. So do not use that. Okay. So now, excuse me, we're going to have, so we have the mass number of 17, and now we need to determine the number of electrons. So now we're going to kind of do this backwards. We have 8 protons. And notice we have a negative charge. That means we have more electrons because it's a negative charge than we have protons. So how many more? 2. So this must be a 10 there. We must have 10 electrons. And now the charge goes up here. And again, remember we write our charge with the number first and then the sign. Okay, so now here we're given just the symbol. Given the full nuclide symbol, we should be able to determine all the numbers of protons, neutrons, electrons, mass number, charge. Okay, so we should be able to just go down the list. So number of protons, 9. That's that number right there. Number of neutrons, well, this plus the number of neutrons equals 20, so we subtract to get 11. 9 plus 11 is 20, that's fine. And now the number of electrons. Now, if you look really closely, that's actually a 1 minus. Just be careful. Common mistake. So that means there's 1 extra electron. so that must mean there are 10 electrons. Now the mass number is 20. Again, that's 9 plus 11 is 20. And then the charge, again, is 1 minus. So this really is from the department of the redundancy department. Okay, this, if you have all this, is just kind of repeating yourself. Okay, so now the last one. Okay, element number 24. So we look in the periodic table, we go over, that's chromium. Okay, so chromium, Cr. Again, we do not need the periodic table anymore. We're going to put the 24 down here. Now, the number of neutrons. So this plus this should this plus this, the one we're looking for, should equal this. So that means there has to be 29 neutrons. Okay, 53 goes up here in this corner. And now the number of electrons. Now this is a 3 plus charge. So that's interesting. So that means that there are more protons than there are electrons. So that means how many more? There are 3 more protons, so this must mean that there are 21 electrons. Now we put the charge up here, 3 plus, and there we have it. Feel free, your assignment is to do the other 3 chart problems that are on this worksheet, and then show them to me. Okay? Have a great day.